people come from all walks of life. They all have lives they lead. Any and all are welcome here to come and chat with me.
Oh, hi, everyone. A couple of weeks ago, I went to the Seniors Connection Cafe. That was at Vaughan Park on Fairfield Island. That is something where seniors can meet to socialize, have tea or coffee and a muffin. It's all free. And that was put on by CNHP Society, and that stands for the Compassionate Neighborhood Health Partners Society. While I was there, somebody gave a talk, and I don't remember exactly what it was about. But anyway, I learned that there was going to be another speaker the following week, and I was asked for and got permission to tape it. Just so you know, that was my sister Kitty who suggested I go there. And so thank you, Kitty. Anyway, so I taped that speaker, and the following is 100-year-old Myrtle Macdonald. Enjoy. Peace out.
Yes, I'm delighted to be able to tell you about 16 wonderful years in India. The last time I was there was in 1983, so I'm a little outdated. But I did bring some lovely things with me, including this silk sari, and it was typical for it to slide down the arm. People were always pulling it back up again. And sometimes I'd catch the end of it here. Sometimes I'd catch the end of it here to help hold it in place. And believe it or not, my last few years in Asia, I was in Pakistan actually, I wore this every day. So I did get used to it, and I had a blue uniform. Oh, but that was in Pakistan. So let's go back to India. So it was in 1946 that my dear daughter, who's going to be 76 on 2 days from now, was a year old. And we went to India. My husband, a doctor, and we went to Orissa, which is on the east side, and we were up in the mountains. I had to be carried with my daughter on a camp chair with bamboo poles holding it on either side, and 4 men carrying us. Wasn't that something? 24 miles up into the mountains. And there, a doctor from Canada had already been there all his life. Well, not all his life, but many years. And he had a hospital with 7 beds, and he had a little bit of staff. The only nurse he had taken 1 year of nursing in a British hospital about 100 kilometers from there, and she had failed her first year exam, so they didn't let her go on. So that was the nurse he had, and he had another woman helping her, and then he had 2 men who were quite good. One of them was a compounder being a pharmacist technician. So a lot of the young girls were already in school up as far as grade 7, and some of them came to me and said they wanted to be nurses. So 2 of them, we didn't have a school of nursing there at Barrymore anymore, so I had to send them to Telugu country. That meant learning a different language. So I sent them 6 months early, and they learned the language somehow and got into the lower grade nursing program, which was very good, 8 standard. We still had only 8 standard in Canada at that time. Only a year or 2 later was it raised up to matriculation. So anyway, these girls did so well. One of them was at the top of her class, even though it was a foreign language for her. You know, there are over 200 languages in India. Guess what keeps India together? English. Everybody has to learn English. Well, I mean, they do in school. And plus their mother tongue, plus the state language, plus Hindi, which is the most populous language, plus English. So many of them have 5 languages. So India is an interesting place, and I found out yesterday that over half the people in India have had their first dose of vaccine for COVID. So that's nearly a billion and a half, eh? 1,400,000,000. Half of those have already had their COVID. And you know that we buy our COVID from India. The last shipments have been from there. So that's not new. When I first arrived there in 46, they already had outstanding vaccine manufacturing near Bombay. Yeah. At the end of our first 6.5 years in India, we were asked to go to the Telugu country because the doctor had died and they needed my husband. They also needed me because I had a bachelor's degree in nursing to teach in the higher grade school of nursing, which they had permission to start. And that meant having to pass 11th standard, matriculation. So we had quite a big class. I think it was 10 or 15. Some of them could barely speak English, but no mind. But they could speak it, but they couldn't write it very well. So when they did exams, you know, I couldn't pass most of them. There was one girl from the south, from Kerala, and she had excellent English, as people did in Kerala, in the far south. And she'd get A's and everything, and all the rest would get D's. So what in the world was I to do? I'd sit down with each one and get them to do the exam verbally with me. What do you know about this? And what do you know about that? And then I mostly passed them because they knew more than they were able to write down. So we had to teach them English too. But anyway, the School of Nursing prospered. It did very well, and there were others as well. So our daughter was in boarding school by then in a place called Kunur, which was in the Nilgiris Mountains in South India. The tea gardens all around. So we had summer holidays when it was very hot to get away, and it was cool there. And dear soul, I had to leave her there in boarding. It was kind of hard. So then she came back down just in time for us to make our trip back to Canada. And we did quite a bit of traveling. We went around via Sri Lanka, which was Sri Lanka in those days, and Australia. We had over a month in Australia. And then it was all by ship. Much traveling by ship. In those days, airplanes were too expensive, and there weren't scheduled. There wasn't a schedule for planes. So, 5 years in Canada, 2 in Edmonton, and 3 in Toronto, and we went back again. And by this time, our daughter was in grade 7, so she had she graduated in India in grade 12 and 63. And during that time, we did a lot of building work, and money started pouring in for building work from donors in Canada. It was really quite wonderful. So we built a 54-bed hospital, and I did the designing, believe it or not. So that each ward had sanitary facilities and a cooking section behind it. because the relatives would come with them and stay with them, so they had to be able to cook somewhere. We also built a nursing home, residence for nurses. My goodness, it's 1963. We had the inauguration of the hospital, and the head man, a Hindu of the village, had his daughter born there. And we had an Indian, Anglo-Indian doctor who took over, and she was sent away for a year for upgrading because she had a license in medicine, not an MD, not an MBBS. But she was excellent, and she was there for many, many years after that. That was a joy to know. So what happened? Well, lots of things happened, but I came back to India again in 78, Christmas. And in the same province, Orissa, but west of Calcutta. Orissa is shaped like a, well, what do you call that?
Triangle.
Triangle, shaped like a triangle. Our original place was down near the bottom of the triangle. This was up at the west side of the triangle, and there I was training people to become community health workers, and that was a very important thing. And I was saddled with a group of young men and young women who had more or less done grade 11, and so I had to train them, and they were great. But the thing was that when we gave them first aid kits and audiovisual things that they themselves made, and they went around to the village in pairs, they came back to me and they said, they don't respect us, we're too young. Okay, they don't listen to us, we're too young. So after that I had a group of women, some of them hardly able to read, but they were more or less leaders of the women in those 7 or 8 villages, and they came and I did the course with them. And some of my first group helped teach them because they learned quite well, so it was really great. Oh yes, I went for Christmas back to the home place, and it was marvelous to see things. The compounders had taken lab technician work while we were there. His son was a high school teacher, and he came to me and he said, my mother said, his father had died by then, my mother sent me to take you on a tour of the village. So we went on a tour of the village. And one of the things was we went to the Hindu side as well as the Christian side. And the head man of the village then ordered to have a tea party for me. So at the tea party, there were a lot of dignitaries there from all the different castes. And he called me his sister. And he said, come back and work with us again. So that was in 80, when it was, I can say goodbye, I guess now. And I've been here in Chilliwack now since 88. I came, some of you may know my mother, Renetta Schneider, and my sister Cora. She passed away 3 years ago. A lot of you would know Cora. Okay, bye-bye. Thank you so much.
A sense of community, Chilliwack's a place to be. A sense of community where you're free. Rolling through the mountains, rolling through the valley, rolling through paradise with me. It's multicultural, you're sure to see it all. Chilliwack's the place to be, you'll see. Come party in the park, go dancing after dark. Chilliwack's the place to be, you'll see.